Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander viewers should exercise caution when watching this program, as it may contain images of deceased persons.
Let's begin today by looking at the Roelands Mission in southwest WA. For 35 years, Roelands Village was a mission home for generations of stolen Aboriginal children. Now 2 men who grew up in Rowlands have returned and are transforming it into a place of learning and healing.
Roelands Village, nestled in a valley of rolling hills, 20 kilometres east of Bunbury in Western Australia's scenic southwest. This now peaceful and picturesque property was once a place of trauma, loss and injustice. In 1940, Rowlands was set up as a mission for young Aboriginal boys and girls. This was at a time when Australia's infamous assimilation policy was in place. Aboriginal children were stolen from their homes, some as young as 4, and many never saw their families again. A total of 500 children from all over the state sought refuge in Rowlands. Sid Jackson was one of these children.
These kids were all from all around Australia, mainly from the north. My journey was from Leonora, which is 300 miles back of Kalgoorlie, so as a 4-year-old I grew up here. My 2 sisters who came down with me at the time were put in other missions around here, the Wandering Mission and another one, and I came here, so we were all separated as kids. You're always wondering what would it have been if it was different.
Up to 85 children lived at Rowlands at any one time. When they weren't attending school, they were made to work to keep the mission self-sufficient.
We had our daily chores from 6 a.m. till 6 p.m, whether it's milking the cows or feeding the pigs or the chooks, tending to the gardens, the orchards, the seasons with the hay, cutting the hay and feeding the cows, type of thing. So just a full circle of work that we did as kids to just keep this place running.
For the children who were forced to live here, mission life ended when they turned 16. Forced out to find their own way, many struggled. But Sid was lucky, his football talent taking him all the way to Melbourne in football glory.
And Sid's he's back here now, and he's testament to that, as how far you can go, all the way to Carlton.
Les, like others, couldn't wait till they were 16 to leave. They ran away.
Les Wallum, he was the one that ran away most of the time, and it's ironic now that he's back here managing the whole place. And he used to always tell a story about standing on the hill over the back there and waving to all us kids down here and see you later type of thing. But we'd probably see him a day later coming back in a police car again.
Yeah, I did. I ran away from there as I got a bit older, and I used to think quite a bit. Ran away quite a bit, and like I said, the last time they decided to let me keep going. And I felt I gained some strength out of that, actually.
In 1975, Rowlands closed its doors. Decades later, when the property was put up for sale, it was Les who returned to save it and its history.
There's quite a bit of anger there too for the church just turning around and wanting to put it up for auction. And that included from me, who ran away from this place.
The church was going to sell it, and we thought that was pretty disgusting as far as we're concerned, because it's a place we called home, and for a few generations that have come through here, and to have it be sold, it'll be history lost.
As a mission, Rowlands was a place where stolen children were forced to live and work. Now it offers hope and help.
We do it in a packaged way that it's all around healing as well. So and I think we may be the only organisation that does it that way. Where rather than just running a training program, we actually incorporate the healing part of it as well. Look, there's a really good future now in this place.
Joining Neil and me in the Noongar Dandjoo studio are Carol Dowling, an Associate Lecturer at the Curtin Centre for Aboriginal Studies. Welcome, Carol.
Hello.
And Associate Professor Simon Forrest, who is also the Elder Residence at Curtin. Welcome, Simon.
Thanks, Kimber.
Thanks for joining us today. Simon, people respond differently when asked about Roelands Mission. Why do you think that is?
I think it's people have different experiences at places like Rowlands. My father's family weren't taken away, but my mother's family were, and her siblings. She's always telling about what they did over there in the bush and when they picked olives over there and when they did this and that. I mean, it was a hard life, but she doesn't really have any negative experiences where many others may have. And an example of that is Rowlands, where one of Mum's brothers was, and he lives in South Australia, and he's to such an extent about his negative experience, he refuses to come back to Western Australia and go anywhere near Rowlands. And he was very lonely and decided to run away to find his sisters. You know, he knew they were in Kalgoorlie. A bit like the rabbit for his fence, he followed the Kalgoorlie pipeline. He found his way to Mundaring and walked along the pipeline all the way to Kalgoorlie to find his sisters.
Yeah. That's amazing. Neil, you grew up in Rowlands. Can you tell us about your experience there?
Separated from my brothers and sisters, which is, I mean, the whole experience itself, there was good days, there were bad days, and there was, you know, a lot of times that I can remember, you know, not being able to talk my culture or being taught my culture and then learning something else, you know, being taught a different religion when I'm used to, you know, living off the land and stuff like that. The experience was, I think, pretty hard, you know, not being around your mum and not being able to be around your brothers and sisters, especially being the younger brother.
Carol, can you tell us a bit about the research you've done in this area and maybe the documentary that you made?
I was prompted to do a radio documentary. It was on this whole notion of another stolen generation. So because I'm a foster mum, I've really noticed that the percentage of Aboriginal children being placed into out-of-home care has increased considerably. And the documentary revealed that. It showed that in WA alone, even though Aboriginal children make up 5% of the population, they make up 50.5% of all children in care. That means these children are placed into situations where they're often with non-Aboriginal people, and several of them in this documentary actually spoke about that Aboriginality or the notion of culture is actually considered optional, so that, oh yes, they'll learn about that when they're older. But in reality, a lot of these children need this as a part of wellness for them in the long term. There's a huge correlation between these children eventually being involved in the juvenile justice system, a huge fraction of it. But the research has revealed that the reasons why children are being taken is simply because of poverty. Neglect is the huge category being used. It's been labelled upon our families, and it's often nothing is really put into place to do family support to prevent it from happening. The large bucket of money that's put in statewide is mainly for keeping the system of child removal, and rather than working with families to repair transgenerational trauma.
It's interesting, Cara, how you say, you know, the category they're using is neglect. I mean, and if the category they used a lot in previous times with removing children, arguing that children were being neglected and that justified their removal.
Yes, and the way that families actually engage with the government, with the Department of Child Protection, it is actually a punitive process. So they literally feel that they're bad parents, that are incapable, and the children feel that as well. They feel that their parents can't look after them. So we're talking about trauma right now that's happening at a profound scale, and far more than the actual stolen generation that happened. And it's a huge issue all over Australia. It's not just in WA.
And Simon, you recently took a group of Curtin University students to Rowlands for a cultural immersion unit. Can you tell us about the trip?
Well, fantastic. From my point of view, it was fantastic. The idea around taking the unit, going to a place like Rowlands, provided the opportunity to be located in an Aboriginal space and then go out from there to other Aboriginal organisations and things like that and provide a really cultural immersion experience for those people that went along. And they were mainly non-Aboriginal students, but there were some Aboriginal students as well who really did it as sort of more like a cultural affirmation experience for them.
Yeah.